Welcome back here on Sports Live. Excuse me, I'm going to keep doing this all night tonight, mainly because it's written in front of me, and secondly because we haven't had a Titans talk for a long time. But the season is underway, and we are talking Titans tonight. 737-7767 is the number for you guys to call in. Jesse's been waiting for a while. Jesse, we appreciate that. You're next up here on Titans Talk.
Yes, sir. I'd just like to say I'm really excited about these Titans boys this year, and I predict that they're about to go 9-7, maybe a wild card. I think that a lot of people are writing the Titans off, but I'm going to tell you something now. The defense is really good, actually. The only thing we're really hurting in is the secondary. There was a couple 3rd and 15s, that they could have stopped and prevented, but they caught the ball. I believe we need to get Delaney Walker in there a little bit, mixing the pass game up, because that is Mariota's security blanket. He had like one catch yesterday, and that's sad, because Delaney Walker is a really good tight end, and I believe that the offense needs to flow through him, not only through the run game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they will try and get Delaney Walker involved. Here's what happened is the Vikings put a lot of emphasis on stopping him yesterday. You saw some blanket coverage. You saw some double coverage on him. They sort of took him out of the game. What I like, though, is if that would have happened a year ago, Mariota would have been forced to keep trying to stuff it in there and see if they could make something happen because the wide receivers just didn't make any plays. But yesterday, you saw a team that had some guys capable of making plays at the receiver position. Tajay Sharp with 7 catches in his debut game. Andre Johnson had a couple big catches there to help move the sticks. Harry Douglas had a big 3rd down play. And remember, Kendall Wright wasn't even on the field yet yesterday because of his hamstring issue. So I think what you saw is a team that has more weapons. You got weapons in the backfield. You got better wide receivers. It doesn't have to all be on Walker this year. They do need to get him going. You're not going to feel good if he only has 1 catch or 1 touch each week throughout the season. But if somebody wants to spend all their energy trying to slow down Delaney Walker, you can go other places this year, and that's a nice luxury to have. And in terms of the AFC South, here's the thing. Yes, the Titans lost yesterday, but so did the Colts, and so did the Jaguars. Everybody's talking about this division being much improved, and I think it is. I think all of these teams are probably better than they were a year ago when you consider the upgrades in Jacksonville and in Tennessee. You consider the fact that the Texans believe they now have a quarterback in Brock Osweiler and an offense to match that really, really good defense, and Andrew Luck's back healthy in Indianapolis. These teams are probably all improved. But yesterday they went 1-3. They struggled against the NFC North. The only team to get a win was Houston against probably the worst team in the NFC North in the Bears. So I think this is a competitive division. I think you have a chance to make hay if you can beat those teams. And those games are coming up on the schedule. And that's what the Titans have to do. For a long time, they've struggled to do anything better than maybe split in the division. And frankly, they've really struggled against the Colts to the point where it's been a long time since they've won. They've got to figure out a way to be better in the division. Go 4-2. Maybe 5-1 in the division, and now all of a sudden you're talking about a playoff appearance. And that's the thing about yesterday is none of those teams looked unbeatable yesterday. So although it's a loss, you don't really lose a lot of ground in the division. And I think you'll feel like this is a team that can compete against any of those teams. Back to the phones now. How about Anthony? Anthony, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well.
The thing that intrigued me yesterday, a lot of these church people, a lot of these faithful fans stayed put to see what the Titans is going to do. They were excited. But they ain't got no secondary. I told you that a month before the game. I called in about a month or 2 ago. They don't have no cornerbacks, no secondary. And then why are you paying all these second-half players like Andrews and all the money? You should have put them in. They don't have no coaches like Bill Parcells and all of them no more that will pull that quarterback, to pull them players off at the field and place them fast to get the game going. You got to put the team in perspective, not the player or his stats or his contract. You have to put them boys in that's going to win the game, put the team in the priority.
Wait,
and
Anthony,
like
you tell me.
And all of them will snatch you off at field. They could have put that backup quarterback in, change your pace.
Wait, Anthony, you're telling me you want them to bench Marcus Mariota after the interception yesterday?
I should have pulled him out. If he couldn't move the ball, couldn't do no more, pulled him out. That's Bill Parcells pulled Sims out of the game when he was acting a fool. They could have did the same thing. Bill Parcells didn't play when those players was acting a fool and wasn't moving the ball, making mistakes. He pulled them out. He put the second half in, like somebody like Andrews and all the rest of them in. They don't have coaches with no guts no more that make hard decisions.
All right, well, we appreciate the call, Anthony. I think here's the thing there. There's a big difference between acting a fool and making a mistake. And one thing that I've never heard anyone describe Marcus Mariota do is that he's acting a fool. He made a mistake yesterday. It was a play that he needs to throw away or, frankly, just eat the sack if he has to in that situation. But to that point of the game, he'd been great. He had led the team down the field. He had converted on third down. He had taken care of the ball. That's what was so frustrating about it, is the fact that for the most part, this was a solid game by the Titans. There were just two mistakes in particular, the interception and the fumble that got returned for touchdowns, that did them in. The defense and the secondary that you complain about, the Vikings never got in the end zone. Normally, if you never let the other team's offense get to the end zone, you're going to win. It didn't happen yesterday for the Titans because of two mistakes. Two plays in the course of a game full of 70 plays or so where they played well, they just couldn't get over the hump because of those two plays. And they're catastrophic and they can't happen. That's not an excuse. But I think we're a long ways away from talking about Marcus Mariota coming out of any game unless there's a huge lead or he gets hurt. Because he is the future of this team. He's still learning the position, but he is the future of the franchise. And he's going to win you way more games than he loses. And yesterday, he was really good until one really bad play. And he probably didn't respond as well as he'd like to after that. The team didn't respond as well as they would like to after that. But you're not going to bench Marcus Mariota over one play. I don't think you bench Marcus Mariota if he throws 3 interceptions or 4 interceptions in a game, because that's how much confidence you have in him to be the leader of this team. But you're not doing it off of one play for sure. Hello, Leroy. You're next up here on Titans Talk.
Okay, Steve, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
If I were to analyze, there's no such thing as a good loss. But if I would say that for those who do believe in it, I would say yesterday was a good loss. And this is why I look at stats. We had up against a team that was in the playoffs last year that no doubt should have gone to the Super Bowl. And Minnesota had 15 first downs. Tennessee had 19. Net yards, Minnesota had 301. Tennessee had 316. And this is one that really jumps out at me. Penalty yards. Minnesota had 3 penalties for 39 yards. Tennessee had 2 for 10 yards.
From the same guy, by the way.
Not a past Tennessee team for the last several years.
Yep.
So let's pick our heads up and let's support the team, because they're going to win some games.
Yeah, Leroy, I think that's a good point. One, you saw a level of discipline yesterday from Mike Mularkey's team that you haven't seen from the Titans a lot in recent years, cutting those penalties way, way down there. You saw a defense that focused on stopping Adrian Peterson, and they did that. You saw an offense that had a new vision for what they were going to do. It maybe didn't have the production that you want, but it certainly showed some new wrinkles and some new abilities from what we've seen in the past. They just didn't get over the hump. And you look at those statistics, that's a good Minnesota team. I don't exactly know what's going to happen at the quarterback position. At some point, I think Sam Bradford becomes the starter of that team. That probably makes them a little more dynamic on the offensive side of the ball, although Bradford's been very average in his NFL career at this point. But that team's probably a team that's going to the playoffs again in the NFC. And the Titans were just as good as them, if not better, for the vast majority of the game yesterday. Your thoughts on the game? A lot of positivity tonight. Maybe a little surprised by that because it was another loss for a team that went 5-27 the past 2 years. That's tough to swallow when you start thinking of in that numbers, isn't it? But still, there has been a lot of positives. I think there were some positives yesterday, and it seems like a lot of you guys agree. We want to hear from you, though, agree or disagree. 737-7767 is the number. More phone calls right after this. Stay with us. You're watching Titans Talk on News Channel 5+.